Welcome to Mama's Ashram, where wisdom flows, bridging east and west, the spirit grows. Voices of the ancients, stories to share. In the dance of thoughts, we find our prayer.
Welcome to Mama's Ashram, where wisdom flows.
Welcome. Bridging east and west.
Yeah, today we have a special episode with a friend from Germany, Michi. Namaste. How are you? Nice to see you. Namaste, Madev. And
Namaste,
we will
my
talk
friend.
about another perspective on Christianity, on the Christian belief system. Michi here grew up in a really strict Christian family situation, and he was brought up in that way, but through his lives, he reads a lot of philosophy, and we're here to introduce his views and maybe see some similarities to the Hindu way or to other traditions all around the world. So welcome, Madev.
Thanks.
And Michi,
So,
maybe Madev,
for the past few episodes, we've been talking about, Martin and I have been talking a lot about rejecting authority. So this would be a good addition to it, because from our conversation before the recording, Michi is more of a follower of the scripture rather than the church in Christianity, which is what we love, rejecting authority and following what actually was by the scripture, according to the scripture. So Martin, I'd pass it on.
Yeah, I got the little thing prepared here to introduce Michi as well, and I can show you that. It's a little song I made just for you, Michi.
Oh, how sweet.
So it's not too serious. It's just a joke, and don't take whatever the song says too serious. It's not really what's going on. We will see. Ready?
Yes.
Do it.
It's the dude who seeks, not purchase. The truth's not trapped within the churches. It lives in thoughts, ideas, and creeds. For every soul contains the seeds. The scriptures are sacred, I feel truth within. Like finding Wi-Fi when your signal is thin. A Christian walking pure and free. The last practitioner, that's me. That's me, that's me, she. Yeah. That's me, she. That's me.
Whoa!
Nice. Yeah.
Put it on Spotify.
It was kind of correct what they're saying about it in the song, about me. Yeah. So I would like to start and give a little history about my way to Christianity, to be honest. And like Malte said, I was raised in a very strict Christian household, and it was so strict and constraining that like I hit puberty, I didn't want to hear or do anything with Christianity at all. I rejected it for a good chunk of my life, and after a few years and I got older, I rediscovered it, and I noticed that I misinterpreted most of the...
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. So that just to get this clear, you were raised in this household, but you never really went full into it. You rejected it from the first time you hear of it because of the strictness, or
No,
how would you describe
not
it?
really. To be honest, there was a part in it where I really practiced it and I liked it, and I had fun with reading all these stories and built like a little understanding of how things work in the world.
And you went to church every Sunday as well, or?
Yeah, I went to church every Sunday. There was a time I want to go there every Sunday, and then there comes the time where I didn't want to go as often, and I had to. I got forced into it, kind of.
Okay.
And it's the time where it starts to reject it and just keep my distance to religion at all. And not just Christianity, it was like all religions, Muslim, Hinduism. I rejected everything. But like I said, after a few years, I rediscovered it and noticed that I didn't understand it the right way or got the wrong view about Christianity. And it was pretty rough to discover that it wasn't just me that I misinterpreted most of the things. There's that are written in the Bible. It's also, I noticed, the church as well misinterpreted a lot of things and used Christianity as, you could say, a weapon to utilize a lot of peoples and get a huge influence over a big chunk of the earth, at least.
Absolutely, yeah. As we used to say here, as a control mechanism, maybe would refine
exactly.
it. Yeah, to do lots of things, whatever it is. So they were in search of power, land, just control of people, security, of established people in power. They used Christianity as well to legitimize their power over
imperialism.
other people. Imperialism.
Imperialism. Yeah. Christianity as a tool to be imperialistic.
Yeah, I noticed it too.
Do you think that all religion or monotheistic religions share this attribute, that they would all have at least the churches would use that as a control mechanism to control people?
To be honest, I see it like that, that every religion has its meaning, and as long as there are a group of people who distribute this meaning for their own good, it gets corrupted and it ends in a controlling mechanism. It takes people who are honest and have a lot of courage to not use those powers who are gifted to you. When you are like the preacher of a church, you have a huge audience. It varies. Some are smaller, some are bigger, but you have influence over people. And this is not only belongs to religion. It's like everything. It's like even your manager in a company are in this situation where they can use their power to control people and manipulate people. But the question is more like, how does he use the power? For good or for bad? And this is, after I thought about it and I realized this, it was like, okay, maybe I'm more religious than I thought, because Christianity, Hinduism, every religion have those two categories, good and bad, or more favorable and less favorable. And it was a time when I realized, oh, most of the things in Christianity who are deemed to be good are really good, and who are deemed to be bad are really bad. But it is not like it doesn't display in the way it was, or it's written in the Bible. It's today's day and age, it's very, very different, and we as society, as people, lost the translation to understand what behavior was displayed in the past or in this story. So yeah.
Okay, so you used the example of Nietzsche before, with people who go to church every Sunday and seem to be good Christians, but then when the neighbor has some problems, they wouldn't even think about to help. Yeah. So is that that is a quote from Nietzsche, or an example from Nietzsche, and is that something what led you again further into religion or spirituality? Or would that have been something that would drive you away even further from Christianity?
It's pretty funny, because I remember when I started reading Nietzsche, I told my dad, who's very Christian, and he warned me about reading those words from him, because a lot of Christians lost their faith after reading Nietzsche. The funny thing about it is I have to agree with him most of the times. It's not like he criticized the church, the religion, just without any reason. It's comprehensive what he's criticizing. And to be frank, I see it most of the times the same way as he does. But it's like I said, it's a differentiation between the church and the religion, because the church is just a tool from the religion to get contributed to the society, should be at least, and not be misused.
Yeah, it should be sacred as well.
Yeah, and Nietzsche
actually
criticized.
No, go on.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Nietzsche criticized most of the times when the church uses their power for controlling people and to do more harm than good in the world.
And also the way the Christians would act out their faith, I would say, because the church regulates a lot of that, how Christians would act out their faith. And as you said, like these kind of religious beliefs, they get corrupted over time as well, and when we don't see like the Christians from like 1,000 years ago would be very different from the ones who claim to be Christians today. And this is, I think, another thing what Nietzsche really criticized. Not the belief itself, but how people how people act from it, and really go off script, so to say.
Yeah, for sure. But it's funny because even in the Bible, there's written like warnings about about those people, like not just the neighbors or the regular guy who's Christian, but more like the priests and the like head of the churches. Because I remember there's a part in the Bible where it said, "Beware of the wolves in sheepskin." So they don't get into your tribe and rip apart the sheep or something. I can translate it good enough in German, it would be different. And it's like, be aware of those people who said they're Christian, but they aren't. They're just using it to that you believe they're a good person. Because to be honest, in the West, it was a long time the stigma: if you're a Christian, you are also a good person. So yeah, it's like
and I'd like to sorry to interrupt, Michi.
No, it's okay.
From what I have observed, what the definition of a good person has been for in the eyes of Orthodox Christian is to be dressed according to the society or to be fearful of God, which sounds insane, because fear of God can never translate into love of God, ever. And to be living in fear sounds insane, right? Especially when it is somebody who you believe is the father figure of humankind or the entire universe. And when you say fear of father, it is more of a traumatic and unhealthy relationship.
Good question. Yeah, we see this in all the Abrahamic religions, I would say, like in Judaism, in Islam, where the God seemed to be like a really fearful, and you gotta be careful and fear him, instead of loving him.
Yeah, for sure. Like I have to say, it's just a result of the history, because like in the past, the church used fear to manipulate the people. Because to be honest, fear is a very, very good manipulation tool, I would say, to do people to get people to do what you want. But there, in my belief, it's not like if you do something bad, God strikes you down and throws you into hell or something like that. It's more like, just be aware that if you don't act like a good Christian, and we can define a good Christian later on, what it means, that you will get punished and will. Let me start over. It's like if you stray from you have one road to get to heaven, because in Christianity the goal in life is to get into heaven. Be a good person, get into heaven. And if you differ from this path, you will get the wrath of God and will be punished. But it's not like he does it. It's more like Satan comes and gets you if you're not going towards me from God's perspective. And because we always talk about God, 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 but in the Christianity belief system, there's not only God, there's also Satan or the devil. And it's the contrarian part of good. Because I see Christianity like the differentiation of good and evil. And when God is good, there's also bad. And if you're not following the good, you will end up in the bad. And more like this, and not if God strikes you down.
Right. Because, so would you say the like fear of God concept is a concept made up from church and doesn't really come out of the scripture or of the early Christian, of whatever Jesus said, or
Yeah, I would say it, to be honest, because I can see where you can get this view of a God in the Bible. Okay, to be honest, there are lots of parts where he's very merciful and punishing the humankind, but we can start with the start of the Bible, like the creation of the world, and even the paradise with Adam and Eve. and in Deutsch, the garden Gethsemane.
Gethsemane.
Also, yeah. Because when I read the story, I have a lot of questions and to understand it better. And the setup is like there's a man and a woman in paradise, but in the paradise is one tree with an apple they should not eat. It's forbidden to eat this apple. And I asked myself, to be honest, God created this. Why puts he forbidden fruit in the garden if he created it? And why does had Adam and Eve the choice to eat it or not eat it? Because if God is almighty, he could create humankind like obeying, and there wouldn't even a possible chance from Adam and Eve to get thrown out of heaven or to betray God, to say it in other words.
Hmm.
And when I think about it, the only answer to this is like God doesn't wanted the human to blindly obey authority, because he created us with the choice of free will.
Right. And that's what we're all about here, reject authority.
Yeah, of course. It's a human. If you see it this way, in my eyes, it sees human nature is not meant to be dictated by authority or controlled by authority.
Okay. Interesting take on that.
Yeah, this was a beautiful take. I had never heard this before or thought about it.
Yeah. And this is what I said earlier. Like there is a way, a path you have to follow to be in the presence of God. It's written in the Bible, to be in the presence of God. And as long you are on the road, good things will happen to you. Not all the time. The story of Hiob is Job in English. Is the total opposite of it, but generally speaking, I see it like this. The story of Job is a way big story.
So would you say, if I hear you talking like that, it reminds me a lot of the concept of karma as well in Hindu traditions, where you can, when you do like bad deeds, or you have like a karmical influence on your life, these energies will return to you. It will come back to you, and then it will affect your life again. And whatever you put out, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad or whatever energy it is, it will come back to you, cycle back, and reflect back on your life. So would you compare that to that? And maybe Mara, if you can maybe talk about more karma, if this concept is accurate or not really.
Michi, would you like to go first, or should I talk about karma?
Yeah, I can start first. To be honest, it's like I see this parallel between Hinduism and karma and the life of a good Christian, or a life as a Christian at all, because it's the same principle in a way. Like I said earlier, you had a set of behavior who will give you, in the Hinduism world, like you said, it would be good energy, and then there are a set of behavior who will give you bad energy, and depending on which action you take, you will receive this energy.
Yeah, I agree, and I would also like to talk about karma, but in terms of energy, how you just did, Mickey. And I believe that good energy or the bad energy are not really energies that are emitted by the universe, or they come from the outside or something, but it is something that is manifested on our own. For example, childhood trauma. If into myself a seed of violence is sown when I'm young, there will be psychosomatic changes, and my body will transform in certain negative ways, and I will take it out on somebody else as an effect of the seed that was sown into me. So the seed grew with me into a tree, and I passed it on to the other, and to the other, and to the other, and a civil war happens, and somehow the seed I had sown into another person of violence or hate or racism circles back to me. Or if let's say if somebody is always really angry, they are unhealthy scientifically. Their heart or their blood circulation or some part of them is going really unhealthy. Also the brain. And And this is a very evident effect of my karma of being violent, right? It is the negative energy is something that I've given to myself because I'm always so angry, I'm hurting my health. This is a very easy example, but if you take it to a wider, more macro level, then I think something can be taken out of this concept of energies.
Yeah, to be honest, I see Christianity similar like this, not with just energy and passing around, but let me explain. I see like my worldview about how God fits in our world we live in. It's like we have the freedom of choice. So like we have energy in your terms would be, and depending on what we do with our energy, for example, get angry at everyone or try to help someone, is like is in Christianity view in the path described as the path of God or absence of God. Like, but just it's hard to find the right words for it. It's more like the Christianity puts a filter on those energies and how it's transmitted in the world and divided by good and bad. And every energy, like you said in your analogy, every energy circles to you back. If you're doing good things, it will be good things to come to you back. If you do bad things, it comes back to you the bad things. It depends like what is in your view, in your eyes, good and bad, good and evil. And this is the part with where you said with the energy, like what's resonating with my view is you have the starting point, and depending on what you do with your energy, with your starting point, the world around you will manifest in a way that represents the effort you took to dispense those energies or what you do with the energy. Yeah, something like that.
Also in Hinduism, there's a concept called karma sannyas, which is basically if I'm doing good karma or good actions, that comes out of desire of doing good. And if I'm doing bad actions, that comes out of desire of hurting somebody, which is considered bad action. Karma sannyas talks about acting in a way where there is no desire. So there is no reaction, but always mindful action, which through which karma is not made, neither good nor bad.
All right. So this
And
connects because karma only means action. Yeah, just translate it as this, and this creates or connects like the intent of whatever you're doing also to it. All right. So in the Zoroastrian tradition, there is the saying, good speech, good thought, good thoughts, good speech, good deeds. This is like the one of the rules, where they have the connection between all of these three steps. And there's like this psychological aspect of it, what maybe you do something really bad in the eyes of others, but your intention was really good. Yeah. So you beat someone up because they insulted your sister or whatever. Yeah. You just wanted to try to protect your sister, and this is how it comes of a good intention. Well, you did something bad. Yeah. And there's in karma or in the karma sunyat, was it? What was it, Madev?
karma sannyas.
Sunyas.
Sannyas.
Sannyas.
Yeah.
So what does sannyas mean?
Sannyas, we've discussed this before. Sannyas is one of the ashrams, but the etymology behind sannyas would be some means tranquility, and nyas means to lay down. So to lay down in tranquility, and so basically it's almost like a Taoist point of view.
Yeah, like contentment. Yeah, and
so doing because you cannot not do, right? You cannot stop doing, and unless you can never not get a fruit of your doing. But once you do it with surrender, like in a log of wood in a river, without desire, then there is no rebound of your action. Then it goes like into void.
Right, because it goes with the flow of the whatever is already flowing out there.
Now the Taoists call it the universe or Wu Wei, the way.
Where? Yeah. The river.
Because also in this philosophy, the Hindu philosophy, karma creates your destiny. Your karma creates your destiny. And so it basically means that there is no free will, because what you are living now is your current destiny, which was made from your past karma. So this is the effect of your past, of a past cause, right? And this effect will be a cause for a future effect. So this is like a chain of cause and effect,
Yeah.
cause and effect. And there is no scope of free will unless you stop reacting, reacting in a sense, acting mindlessly and following instincts of desire, but
Yes.
going with how things are.
Beautiful, man. I don't know, Michi, if you saw some episodes we talked with Sushant about free will as well. But also on this perspective of Samkhya philosophy, which is like a really old Indian Hindu philosophy. There is two principles, Prakriti and Purusha. And Prakriti is like the objective materiality. And this objective materiality has no free will. And thoughts and emotions are part of Prakriti. Okay, of objective materiality. Everything what can be observed is part of that.
Okay.
All right.
Can be
And
experienced.
only the observer has free will. All right. So from their view, that you would have to identify yourself, with your true self, to get free will. Before you identify yourself with anything else, with your clothes, with your religion, with your land, with your nation, with your hobbies, whatever, you are not free. Okay, and we see the same concepts in the Hermetic principles. There are 7, and there's also the one about cause and effect, causality or karma, and there this is described very similar to what Madhav said. To get to be more free, or be more go maybe higher on the spiritual path, let the soul ascend more, you gotta get rid of reacting and start acting. Okay, and only when you act, you can create something new. And when you react, you will always be more influenced from the outside world than when you act, because then you influence more. This is the spectrum of both sides. You will always be reacting, but you can, choose which one you do more often, reacting or acting.
Yeah, to be honest, I totally understand those concepts. It's remind me a little bit about Freud, what Madhav said, like it's all a chain reaction, and chain, you are the production of your past karma, and as long as you don't escape this chain, you will be not free. But I try to think about this way in the Christianity world, and to be honest, this is one part that I like about Christianity, because let me give an example. We have a person who did something really bad, like murdered someone. And there's even the story about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, where he wasn't not crucified. It was 2 criminals beside him who was crucified. And one of them was like, if you're really God's son, you can go from this cross and heal your wounds and get us out of it. But obviously you don't, so you don't do it. And the other one was acknowledging Jesus as the Son of God, and was just saying, Lord, please remind of me when you're in heaven. And Jesus said to the second one, you, my friend, will be with me in heaven today. It's like, the story is fascinating in my eyes, because it shows how you have in your life, you have at every moment and every time the choice to acknowledge God and therefore get to heaven. And it's not like something you did so bad in your past that you have no way ever going in heaven. So it's, in my eyes, a very, very dangerous road, to be honest, if you believe the world is construed like that, or you are in a believing system in religion who says it is so, because this will justify your future actions with, oh, I can't go to heaven, I am just a bird person and I can do whatever I want and harm even more people. It doesn't matter at all. So in Christianity, you have at all time the choice to change your life, and not just change your life, change your behavior and change your view of about the world. Because Madhav, where you told me this with your action is the result of the past actions, and I hate this idea, to be honest. I hate it. Before you said there's a way out of it, I was like, God dang, man, I can't believe this is real, or this is how the world rolls, to say, because yeah, it's deterministic. It's like, where's the point in all of this?
Destiny.
Where's the point in our action at all if this is how the world works?
Yeah.
And I find it a big relief to hear that in Hinduism is also the way out of it and to get beyond. And this is, like I said, I am the firm belief every big religion or belief system which human sometime in the past or now believes in have one or two things that are very similar to other belief system. And it's like they're at some points in their systems they cross each other. And in my view, this is a sign, maybe the point where each other crosses. This is the truth. This must be the truth if you believe there is one universal truth in our world or universe.
Yeah, because our philosophy teacher Sushant, who we had the past episodes with, he once told us that even if you burn all books on yoga or philosophy, in some time that knowledge will be revived. Somebody else will write the same thing over again, because it is just human experience that has written these scriptures. So for those who really inquired into who I am wrote this stuff, and every person in the future will also have the same kind of potential to write the same thing over. And yeah, the same is with different geographies in the east or the west. There are inquirers of the east who maybe created the system of yoga, and the western inquirers who created Taoism. No, Taoism is Chinese, right? Yeah, so
we have like more
maybe other philosophy.
the monotheistic things going on here, but we have lots of pagan ideas and religions we had in Europe for a very long time. And I don't really like the word pagan. It's almost like the N word.
Derogatory. Yeah.
Yeah, it was another tool installed by the churches to demolish everyone who is not following their church, I think.
Yeah.
But I think this is this is a very big topic where we can go on and on about where all these spiritual ideas originated and spread it across the world. We have also this like a big thing about the Silk Road. There might be a tradition or a religion established there who spreads all across, and created Taoism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, and also came into the Greek world, with the Gnostic views they had and rituals, and the Bacchic and Aphrodite and Dionysus worship. We can see and Hellenism. And but before we go there, or if we want to go there, it's really a broad thing. I want to ask and clarify maybe, Michi, when you talk about heaven and hell, how do you see these things? Would you say like heaven is a place within you, or like your true home or something, and hell is maybe somewhere where you feel disassociated with yourself and with your surroundings, your culture, your relationships? Or would you consider them as actual places we go after death? And yeah, what is your view on that? Maybe it's something totally different than that.
Yeah, I have to be honest and say in the Bible there is the strong belief that heaven and hell is two places in the afterlife. Like our being right now at the moment in this world is just like a transmitter to the afterlife, and depending on how you live there, you will end up in hell or heaven. I don't see the use of it if you see it like just as something after you're dying, because to be honest, I don't know what's happened when I'm dead.
Nobody knows.
Maybe I go to heaven, maybe I go to hell. But right now, it's not that important to me. It's more like
pure speculations, right?
It's
like nobody knows what's going on.
Certain. This isn't certain. Even in the well, if you believe, for you it is certain. But it's more like heaven and hell manifested even in this world where you're living in. Like if, for example, if I don't do anything, just relaxing, enjoying the time, don't work, don't study, just be at the moment for the rest of my life. Barely nurture me to get my food in and drink, barely survive, but don't do anything. The consequence of this, after a good amount of time, I would end up in hell, because in the Christianity belief system, there are like the 7 deadly sins, who are, in my view, the root of all evil, what we as Christian defines as evil in this world. And one of those 7 deadly sins is sloth, like what I described. You're doing nothing. not working, not studying,
Laziness. Yeah.
absolutely nothing. And sloth is a sin. So I'm the firm belief if you practice those bad behaviors in Christian's views, in the Christian view, your world around you will manifest like hell. Not hell, absolutely, because we can't define what it is, but something similar to it. It's like Madhav said with the energy. If you put and the seeds you put out, if you put bad energy seeds out, you will create a world where everything around you is bad energy in the end. And I see it pretty similar to it. But the difference is just, in my opinion, all belief systems is what you define as good behavior or bad behavior, or good things or bad things. Because, like we discussed today, even there are similarities on the way you depend, the consequence of your actions right now, and it's just rewritten in every different religion. And it's like some things are in Christianity good things and lead to good things. Some in Hinduism is good things and lead to good things. But some in Christianity good things maybe not be good things in Hinduism. It's just difference in those aspects. But in the end, they're pretty close. They're both big religions. So there has to be something in similar.
Yeah, would you say these concepts of when you say that it depends what a religion or what a culture describes as good and evil, like, differentiate between. Would you say this idea, this is really, I think, a really old idea, and different culture had very different concepts of what is good and what is bad. When we see the Vikings, for example, they would never have thought that conquering and murdering and get all the riches from the English would be a bad thing. That they would see it as nature. They watched nature and saw that the strongest and the most maybe the most fearless ones, they survive. And in nature it is this way. We view it as really brutal and dangerous. But these are human concepts. This is, first we have to accept what is going on, and nature is brutal. Animals kill each other every day and whatever. They play with, like, I don't know, dolphins play with like baby sharks till they die and whatever. There's horrible stuff going on. But this is only our viewpoint. We say this is horrible. Okay, this is a human concept. And the Vikings say, no, this is nature. This is normal. So we do it. We keep doing it. Same way as nature does it. And this is good. Okay. So I think these are really, really old and basic ideas. And I think this is also where maybe some form of rights come in. Not religious rights, like human rights.
Yeah.
Okay. When now we have nations, and then these nations, they write the rights down in scriptures. And then in these rights, we say what is good and what is bad. We do the same thing. We put our stamp on our culture and define what is good and what is bad. All right. So do you think this even predates religion, these kind of topics? Maybe we had like different forms of how we came together in like tribes and whatever, and they had to do the same thing. And maybe from these like really ancient kind of where humankind started, out of that, these ideas appear, and these structural things also come or get very important in humanity.
Yeah, I definitely think that this division between action or good and, I try to avoid the word good and bad right now, but I think it's more like the resolution of evolution by itself, because think it about this way. I think we three can agree killing each other is not a good thing. But when we didn't notice, or let's put us to a time where we are not coming to this conclusion. What would be the action of a human then? We would start to kill each other to this point that someone says, hey, maybe it's good for us not to kill each other blindfoldedly, or like because we can't survive without each other. In the back in the times, I mean, thousands of years ago, one single human by himself couldn't survive. It was barely possible that he would reach even the age of 30. And it was like we are social creatures, so it's natural for us to get around surrounded by ourselves, by our kind. But let's say even then we are a group of 30 people and we would start to kill each other. it wouldn't be so good or healthy to develop as a tribe. So I firmly believe there was some tribes who started it and didn't notice it's not a good thing. But like I said, it's just some things are just the product of evolution by itself, try and error. So even if it sounds very, very harsh, it is the truth. But yeah, religion did then something very bizarre and started to criticize every single action and divide those in good and bad. And I would say even without religion, humankind would have come to a conclusion of what's kind of right, what's kind of a behavior we should promote and even practice, and what behaviors we shouldn't promote and shouldn't practice. So like we are back to the division, good and bad. It's just two sets we are comparing to each other who are different from each other.
Right. Well, I see this difference also in like human rights in constitutions nowadays, and the religion, aspect of good and evil or what is right and what's wrong. I think it becomes a problem when the religion, and it only religion, no, maybe not only religions, but religion did it first and said like only because the religion, there's a sacred part to it. Okay, something is holy, and there the problem starts that the people who follow that saying that only this is the right move and the right way and the wrong, and then every other set of cultural good versus evil things are wrong, you know. And I think we see that. I think it never happened before, but now we see that in the West, in the Western culture, because the Western culture does the same thing nowadays. It says our human rights are the only ones and the best, so everyone has to follow them, and everyone who doesn't is third world country.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And this is back to what Nietzsche said. It's like the child of this idea is in. Oh, I lost the train of thoughts, man.
Maybe let me clarify also, because I don't want to
Clarify,
bash the West too much. This is also communist countries that do the same.
Yeah, but in the West, the leader in the West is America, and they are pretty good at
Promote them.
promote them that they are the best. I mean, America's number one first.
Always.
Saying it's known all around the world. And yeah, it's, to be honest, of course, when you have one system who say they are the best, that excludes the possibility of future other, well, how do I say it? Even better, the possibility of better perspectives or behavioral.
Improving.
Yeah, for sure, improving.
Wouldn't
yes.
you say that is a deadly sin? Is arrogance or ignorance, arrogance, is that a part of a deadly sin?
Pride.
Pride. Yeah, there you go. It is pride.
Yeah, for sure. And pride is something very, very different. And it's I thought about it earlier this morning. To be honest, even the First Amendment in Christianity, like I am your Lord, your God, you shouldn't have any other gods besides me. This First Amendment was mostly used to justify the killing in the past from the church. Because, like we said earlier, humans killing someone is bad, but every religion who did those things, who conquered other regions, area, states, okay, earlier there wasn't so states, but who promoted their religion in a hard way. They are justifying their evil behavior because if they don't do it, the other will do it. Because and there wasn't a time where Europe would nearly become Muslim. I remember it was like 1600s ago, where the church fought off the Saudi Arabians and like the Muslim belief system because everyone doing it. And this is the question: if you protect yourself, it's one thing. If you do it to conquer, to expand your region, your power, it's another. It's you can't compare those two. And yeah. But if you're strict to with the Bible, you shouldn't kill someone. It's also an amendment in the 10 Amendments of Christianity. So why could they do it? Why should they do it? By the way, or how could they justify their behavior to kill people? Because they said, we are the good guys. We do it for the greater good. Sherlock, everyone does it. Everyone thinks they're the good guys and bad guys. They are the other ones. I don't know. It's crazy, man.
All right, Michi. Then I wanted to talk about the seven virtues. You know, there are also to like counteract the seven deadly sins described in the Bible. There are seven virtues described, and I think we see a lot of overlapping and yeah, coming together in Hindu traditions or even in any other traditions as well. But since we have Madhav here to talk on the Hindu tradition side, maybe yeah, we can talk about that a bit. Start with whatever sin you have in mind, and then maybe talk a bit about the counterpart and Madhav. Maybe you can add yeah, something out of the Hindu traditions.
Yeah, the fun fact about Christianity, I think most Christians aren't even that aware of the seven virtues, but more likely aware of the seven deadly sins. Like I said earlier, the church operated mostly on fear, and the seven deadly sins suits those intentions perfectly. But this is also a thing in Christianity where you find all throughout the Bible, there's always a duality between two things, God and Satan, good and evil. And for example, in the seven deadly sins, you have greed as sin, and the charity is the counterpart to it, to giving, because greed is you want to possess as most as possible, and so that other even don't have it, just for the sake that they don't have it. And if you're a charity person or a charityful person, you would try to contribute more to your society surrounding or people or your person next to you, your neighbor. Who cares who's it? It's just the other person. And yeah, I also think not just this that in pretty much every person's view, a shareful person is a good person. It's a stigma attached to it, not just in Christianity, but also in Hinduism and Muslim or whatever religion you think. It's like a universal truth, again, that humankind came up throughout the history and come to the conclusion that a cheerful person is a good person or is something we should be aspired to be.
Right, a virtuous person. No.
Mm.
Yeah, though shit, what I want to talk about?
Yeah, the virtues, maybe. Or though.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, Michi, so there descriptions of the seven virtues in the Bible? People just don't recognize that they really mention these words, or is it more like in storytelling and you gotta figure it out on your own somehow?
Yeah, that's the tricky part about the whole Bible. It's all those meanings are not like one page where you have here are the seven deadly sins, here are the seven virtues. It's just the 10 amendments who are like in a fixed paragraph, compact. But also this paragraph is in the story of Moses. Yeah, Moses who got up to the I don't know what's the name of the mountain and where Moses received those 10 commandments. But every other thing or attribute about how to be a Christian is always encapsulated in a story. And in my belief, we as Christian, as Christian, lost the connection to the understanding to the message, what's encapsulated in those stories, because it got corrupted by the church over the time. And we all know it's even hard to read stories from 100 years ago because their choosing of words and their way to describe what they are thinking is way different than we talk and think today. And that's the hardest part about being a Christian is to read those stories and construct what's hidden in the story and what does God try to say with it, with his words. Fun fact, in Christianity, there's also the Holy Spirit, and you should ask the Holy Spirit for enlightenment to understand those words who are written in front of you. And I find it fascinating because it's just its own entity to understand those description, those stories. And yeah, even in the time for 2000 years ago to do it, where you would be in the timeline more connected to those events if they really happened. Because to be honest, it's not important for me to know if every story is factually correct or really happened on the earth, because it doesn't have to be factual.
Right. It's just an example for whatever, to act like in that way, to have these virtues, or how you deal with sinners or with new sin. and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I see it in that way. I see the Bible and the Torah and maybe the how you say in Islam,
Quran.
the Quran. Thank you. Is more like, yeah, they're giving examples on how to live properly. I mean, you got to extract these wisdom out of them. And in Hindu culture, I see it more that they just give you straight on the word for what you're supposed to do and what not, and don't give any examples. And this is then your path to go. But maybe we can, if we compare the virtues out of the Bible with like some Hindu concepts, we can find similarities over there. I think, for example, when we talk about the sin of lust, to go like, to go to your like lowest instincts and follow the lust. We have the virtue of chastity, and this is kind of similar in the Hindu scriptures, where I think it was a niyama. Maybe Mari, if you can correct me on that. Who talks also, or he's literally translated as chastity, but it goes a bit further in explanation that it's not just about the sexual instincts.
Yeah.
It's a lot more.
I think you're talking about brahmacharya, which is a yama, which is a fifth yama, which is final yama, which commonly translates to sexual restraint, but the real translation is transcending sensual or pleasure that can be experienced through senses.
Sensual pleasures, yeah.
Sensual,
yeah. So Michi, would you also say, like, in I think in Hindu traditions, it has like a wider spectrum, yeah. So the virtue is not just because they don't have the concept of sins, so they only have the virtues, and they have to like give it a wider concept to comprehend like everything what has to do with these virtues, or on the other side with these sins, so you don't do them. So you think that could also apply to your personal view on Christianity, or on your belief, or is that something you would rather stick to the Bible and say this is just for lust and nothing else?
Well, I would say lust is its own entity, and mostly related to the sexual part, the human sexual part. But in the sin, gluttony is not only part of indulging in food, but indulging in everything. And you can see even there, gluttony is like a set, and lust is a subset of gluttony. Because if you indulge in sexual activity all the time, and crave for it and strive only for it to your evolution instinct reproduce yourself, it's also falls in the category of gluttonous in the sexual behavior. It's like a redefinition or other definition to the same act. But lust is mostly on the sexual part. And on this topic, there's in the Bible the most controversial take of the Bible, I would guess, to only have intercourse in a marriage and not to be chastity before marriage. And,
they don't even masturbate. No, this is
you shouldn't even masturbate. Yeah, it goes. To be honest, I didn't find a specific story where masturbation was encapsulated in the Bible, but it's always the sexuality between a man and female, and like the reproducible part. But for a few months ago, I thought about this like law, this behavior recommendation to not have sex before marriage. And in the past time, I noticed in the past time, if everyone would live the sexuality like we are living now in 2020, in the 21st century, like with the apps Tinder, Bumble, and all these things, and open sexuality, imagine humankind would do this behavior 1,000 years for 1,000 years. The problem with it is nearly every person would have diseases, sexual diseases. Because how do you say it in English? To protect yourself, protection wasn't a big thing in the past, and we didn't have the utilities we have now, the utils, protect ourselves and protect ourselves for diseases or even pregnancy. So in the past, if the people would behave like today in the past, they would mostly got hepatitis or even worse diseases, and it wouldn't be good for a society if everyone was be literally sick. So it's, in my opinion, not just the part where you preserve yourself only for your future partner or your lifelong partner. It's also a mechanism to keep the society healthy. Because like I said.
Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense. Also, we shouldn't discourage the part of like, where medicine starts, and these like healer women we would call maybe witches today, and that was a big part of human history. Yeah, and I think these women had lots of power and medical knowledge to heal and to don't get pregnant, to regulate their cycles and whatever. And so I think, because in Christianity, sprouts, maybe I would say like one in the 1st century to the 3rd century after Christ is when it really gets big and mainstream. And maybe there was the time when we lost all that knowledge already from the like healing women and healing cultures all around the world. Yeah, and then we had these we had to put these mechanisms back into place. But yeah, I think that there was a time where we were really well educated, and you see in the Greek ancient history that people had a lot of intercourse and with everyone, and they were combining it with drugs and with rituals and whatever, and we still are here, so not everyone got sick.
Like I said, it was just a thing I thought up. It's just an extra to this whole law about just having sex with your partner after marriage. But sure, might be possible. To be honest, I don't say that every Christian in the past didn't do it. I mean, for fuck's sake, the church by itself molested enough of people, and it's okay, frankly, if you're a priest. I don't know.
Seems like
That's the reason why I don't get it. I don't get the churches.
Yeah, the institutions are always they will always be corrupt in time if it is there long enough, and in one place it's only there to sustain itself, and then it's the point where it becomes a problem, I think.
Yeah. But from the Christian view, it's the moment when someone gets corrupt who like started to hang out with Satan or be an advocate for the devil.
Hail Satan, I would say. Jokes aside. So yeah, let's talk about the virtues. We have the chastity thing, but we also already compared to the 5th yama. And then we have for gluttony, what you talked about already, we have the term temperance. So maybe we can find something. Well, first, temperance is not doing too much of one thing, more like regulating. And what were you saying first? The word I forgot.
Moderation.
Moderation. Thank you. Do we see something similar in Hindu traditions? Maybe, Madhav, what do you say?
Yeah, I think stuff like moderation is present in every Hindu philosophy, because you see that there is no one Bible in Hinduism, because we have millions of gods and millions of philosophies. But if I have to find a counterpart for this in something that we have already discussed before, also there are no counterparts of sins. There is in fact no sin in Hinduism. There is nothing impure or wrong, and I think the only wrong that you can do is so Hinduism. I'll take this a little astray for a while. That Hinduism is not a religion, and we've discussed it before in past episodes. And what Hinduism is just a geographical term that I think the Greeks called us Hindus for the first time. Those who lived at the bank of the Indus River.
Right, the Indus Valley. Yeah.
So Indus, from Indus it becomes Hindus.
Yeah.
And
that's why I always say Hindu traditions, and I don't say Hinduism or whatever. There are many traditions in Hindu culture.
And what
I think the same applies to Buddhism. This is a word from the West, put onto these cultures or philosophical ideas. This don't have to be. They don't have to be any sacred. For example, in Lamaism, what we say today is Lamaism. It's basically Tibetan Buddhism, but it's not really very religious. It's more like a philosophy of life.
Yeah, and the philosophy of life, the culture, as you say,
Yeah.
was originally called Sanatan Dharma, which means, we've translated this before, but since this is the first episode where we are actually bridging the East and the West, I would like to say it again, that
Sure.
where the culture was originally called Sanatan Dharma, where dharma meant a responsibility, and Sanatan translated to eternal, so eternal responsibility, and that responsibility was to know who you are and to escape the cycle of suffering. It's basically to know who you are. This was the eternal responsibility, and to attain this or to fulfill this responsibility of knowing thyself, you could do anything. So there is nothing, no wrong paths to knowing who you to enlightenment, right? So because we have the tantric part, which has really dark sides also, where cannibalism is, and drugs, and there is also Kama Sutra. So sex can never be a taboo in Hinduism.
Yeah.
Which is,
I also want to
and,
mention always when you say about knowing thyself that this was written in Delphi at the oracles a long, long time ago. So we see it all around the world. The same question pops up as we said with Sushant. This is the only and the last question. Who you truly are. This is what all religions and traditions go about, to let the soul ascend.
And to answer this question, you could go to any extent, and nothing would be a sin in your way. The only sin would be, or the only wrong thing to do would be to not know thyself and get more illusions about life and yourself. And there are only virtues, because I would call them steps to knowing thyself. And every philosopher has had different paths and laid down these schools of thought like yoga and tantra and all the Vedic philosophies. Yeah, and for now, we can find counterparts of the Christian 7 virtues and the yogic 7 virtues, and not the Hindu virtues, because there are no Hindu virtues.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I forgot what were we talking. Which virtue were we talking about?
Temperance.
Gluttony, and yeah, which was moderation. So that could be yeah, that could be aparigraha, which is another yama. It means non-hoarding. Literally, it means non-hoarding. And also, we could talk about santosh, which means contentment. So consuming what you only need, and being content with what is available. These are the two virtues.
Right. This comes also back again to maybe humility. Would be the virtue counterpart for pride. And yeah, we can see that connection. And I think also we can see in the Ten Commandments, as we spoke before, there's also connecting or overlapping some ideas about what Moses receives and what ancient yogic seers received.
Yeah.
I have to ask because to be honest, my brain can't wrap the fact around that in the Hinduist belief system or Hinduism way, there is no counterpart. Like they're just virtues, or the yogi way, was it? Or yogi way, they're just virtues, but no counterpart to it. Because it's, I guess, the Taoism is the whole principle about the Taoism, if I'm not wrong, is about duality, like the good and evil, or two counterparts, just saying. And so, can you elaborate maybe? Or by the way, let me get this straight. They're just one way to live your life wrong, and this is when you're not in tune with yourself or not be your fully self. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And in fact, this is also what Taoism talks about. When it talks about duality, and when it talks about the state of Tao, which is when good and evil meet, it means you are comfortable with both the yin and the yang. You can't discriminate between them, and you just accept the darkness as it is and the light as it is, and you sort of harmonize them. And this is the state of the Tao.
Okay. Yeah, well, okay, now I get it. Yeah. It's as long as there's just one thing where you can like mess up, I can wrap my head around it. But first I thought there's just good ways in the yogi or Hindu way and nothing bad you can do. But yeah, then as long as there's something bad or something you should yourself prevent from doing, it's quite similar to Christianity. But in the Christianity, we split this thing into more segments, I would say. but the root of all is still like you can imagine it yourself like this. There's one top thing, like God, the good thing in the Christianity world view, and one bad thing is like Satan. And everything between this, like our actions, or pretty much everything you can name, what's involving a human being and his behaviors, you can divide or connect to, and either the top one to God or connect to Satan. It's more like we are just the transmitter of good and bad. We are the pawns of either God or either Satan.
I like that idea of the transmitter, of the mediator between these two powers that are inside of us. We see this in the story of Dionysus, who is born from the Titan's flesh, but has the divine spark in him. Yeah. So he has to like be in the middle and be half godly, half human or Titan. Same concept applies to Jesus. Yeah. Where he says he's the son of God, but also he's a human. Yeah. And we are in between. We are always fighting with these two forces, and we try to mediate them. And we see the same in Mithraism as well. We see it in many, I think many cultures. Also in the tantric, I think, with Shakti and Shiva, and then they're combined is what we really are. Yeah, we have both of these concepts in us.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about what Michi said, that there are only virtues and no sins. But if we like there are virtues like non-violence and non-stealing, so stealing could be a sin. I am not sure, or Upper Regret that talks about non-hoarding. Then hoarding here could be the wrong thing to do, but not a sin. It's just not ideal. Something that is not ideal for you to do.
But to the not holding part in Hinduism, there's a counterpart in or a similarity in the Bible too. I don't know the story exactly, but at one point Jesus said that nothing should hold you in this world. You shouldn't be attached to anything in this world. So if the world goes down in flames, you don't burn with it. Something like that. And I find it
It makes sense.
like it's pretty similar to the view of Hinduism. No, it's not that highlighted in Christianity. There's so many things there where the focus is spent on, but not on those things. It's in my opinion, it's still the product of the past from Christianity and the churches, because I see it like this way: they read the Bible and cherry picked what they suits most for them and what message they should promote. Therefore, and they didn't choose it by which of our statements or beliefs are similar to the beliefs of the enemy or the counter religion. Because, like I said earlier, in the First Amendment, it excludes every other religion. Every other belief system got rejected by the line, I am the God, I am the Lord, you shouldn't have anyone besides me.
All right. So yeah, when you say that, it sounds for me a bit also like Buddhism, the main part of Buddhism, or Buddha, who said the easiest thing to say, but the most difficult thing to do is letting go. And the story of Jesus reminds me a lot of that. And also what we talked in the beginning, that you got to be independent. This is what Jesus said: that when the world burns, you don't burn with it. And this you can only be if you stop identifying yourself with things and start to know yourself truly, what you truly are. What we said at the beginning, what we said in the middle, what we say now, and we have this all around the world and in various different cultures. The same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but there I have a question for you. When do you know you are your true self? Or when do you know this, how you see yourself, is the true you, and you're not deluded by any other thought or spirit or anything else?
Karma, or your unconscious or your subconscious.
Yeah. How do you know it, and when do you know it?
Beautiful question.
Can I
Please.
maybe?
I think I know what you want to say. I think there is a path laid out for us in the yogic tradition to do so.
No. What I have found the most logical thing to do to know the self is to reject what you already know. Because if you know yourself as you are now, then you must be free of suffering, because it is the illusion that makes you suffer, according to Buddhism, according to Hinduism, and I believe other cultures as well. And once you reject what you know, which necessarily is not you, then maybe slowly, gradually, what you are will come on surface.
Okay.
So it is also like rejecting authority, but of your
Yeah.
ego, of me, or authority that I've given so much to myself and my desires and my ego, my mind, and everything else. Maybe I have to reject all of that and be truly like a log of wood in the river.
Yeah. I can only talk on personal experience when I, experience myself, because I cannot observe it, as the Samkhya philosophy terms as well. There's this ultimate observer and there's this objective materiality, and everything what can be observed is objective materiality. And so you can only experience what you truly are. You cannot really know it in the sense of we understand the word knowing today, like a fact. Yeah. This is because I follow also a lot of the Gnostic movements in Europe, because Gnostic means knowledge, but only through experience. Right? So you don't read anything or you don't study anything. It is coming out of your own experience. Something what you really are. And how I experience it is a sense of total connectiveness with everything around me, with myself, and my body, with with the things around me, with the relationship, the people, the elements, the plants, and a sense of home. And this is where I am. This is what I am. This is the moment where I maybe realize my true self.
Okay, interesting. Especially the part you reject yourself, what Madhav said, and even pride, because as you said it, it reminded me of the battle that we each fight in ourselves, in our hearts, like with things like pride, wrath, lust, and all those things that happens to us because we are human. We have those desires, and to fight it, it's nice, but I see it this way. It's not just like, one thing is to know who you are. It's definitely a good thing, don't get me wrong, but it's more to it just to know who you are. It's also who you could be, like what person you can be, because just, for example, a person who gets easily angry about nearly anything, he kind of chooses to be that way. He always can fight his wrath inside of his heart, or he fight the battle inside himself and not be wrathful or angry against anything. But either he don't want to fight it, or he loses the fight every time. But like I said, it's I'm a firm believer of free will and the possibility to change at any time if you truly want to do it, because this is also a hard thing for me to understand, because or it's just a thing that I realized 6 months ago, the difference between will and wishes. If you want something and if you wish for it, there are difference. But what is the difference exactly? And because in both scenarios, you say, for example, you say, I want to do more sport, I want to get healthier. In both uh, instances, you say it, but one instant results in nothing, and the other one maybe in a better lifestyle, a healthier lifestyle. So what's the difference between those two instances? And I came to the conclusion it's just the action. The only difference is the action. If you want something, honestly want it, you will do it, and you will do anything to get to the point or to get healthier. An example, you would stop eating junk food, you would stop eating candy, and you would do more sport, eat more healthier. You would sacrifice the pleasure of the now. The pleasure of the now is the sweet candy or the nice food, junk food. To be honest, burger tastes good. So yeah, it's always the action and the sacrifices that goes along with it. And I'm the firm believer that if you really want something, you will take every sacrifice necessary that your wishes come true.
Mhm. Yeah, I
And
think a lot of this is seen in the neuroscience today, where they speak also that we don't have free will, but free action. So we can act free, but we don't will free. So whatever we want or we wishes, it's not free. Would you agree with that? And also maybe you can just talk quickly about the concept we spoke before, that free will has to be achieved by not identifying yourself with whatever comes into your awareness, like your thoughts, your emotions, your clothes, your whatever. So free will only comes out of the state when you truly know thyself.
yeah, I would say it all tangles up into one big thing. It all's connected to each other in a kind of way. And yeah, for sure, I think so. And to be honest, I also agree with the saying that you only have free action and not free will. I can see that because from each person, the individual desire differs between each other. Some people have more problems with anger. Some people have more problems with lust. Some people have more problems with gluttony. Their wishes differs, and everyone got their wishes kind of detached to it. Where it comes from, another topic. But
Yeah, maybe the viewers can also think about it, and let us know if you have something to say in the comments. Mad, if you want to add to this topic as well, something, or should I just play the outro track I provided?
Yeah, I think the question of what I want to be comes when I actually don't know who I am. So, so the first question that is supposed to be addressed is the problem that needs to be addressed is who I am, because then the need to be someone would vanish.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, this has a lot to do with the ego, and we talked about this with Sushant. Check out the episodes, and hopefully we can have you back, Michi, on another interesting talk, maybe about that, maybe about something else. It was really fun. Thank you very much for your time, and
nice
I hope the
conversation.
viewers enjoys. And here comes the
Thank
outro.
you for having me, I would say, and have a nice day, guys.
All right, stay just one more minute, and then we're gonna go. Here is another track.
Happy and free. Let's talk about deep shit. Just you and me. It's a place to be.
Oh, I love it.
And we're out.